Tanse, everyone, and welcome back to Indigenous Projects and Events Speaker Series. I'm Natasha Delany, and I'm so excited for today's conversation with a truly inspiring individual. Today we have Darion with us, and Darion is the founder of Teqare, a company that is making a real difference in Indigenous communities across the country. Teqare offers crucial training and support in areas like city life skills, financial excellence, cyber safety, and scam prevention. Topics that are so important in today's digital world. Darion's passion for this work stems from his own personal connection to the legacy of residential schools, as his grandmother was a survivor. This experience has fueled his dedication to empowering Indigenous communities and creating safer digital spaces for everybody. So let's give a warm welcome to Darion.
Hi, Natasha. Hi, how are you guys doing today?
Yeah, doing so good. I'm so honored and happy that you are here speaking with me today. And I would love to find out how your background and how your Indigenous heritage has shaped who you are today, has shaped, this business that you've built from the ground up and have grown, and the decisions and the goals that you have for the business and yourself going forward.
That's a great question, Natasha. So I'm a member of Laxwell First Nation, which is in Ontario, and it's basically in the bush. It's a fantastic place with amazing fishing. And I was basically born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And growing up, it was a big part of my life, seeing the struggles that kind of came from systemic issues and in my family and my extended family as well, from my cousins to the choices that they made when I was very young. And the ideas of success that you kind of grew up with being in the Indigenous world. For example, thinking the way to make money is, selling drugs and maybe doing illegal things. We needed to change that kind of mindset of entrepreneurship, that you can start businesses that flourish and make good money in other areas in that. I think that's really my answer.
The community that you lived in, you said it's kind of northern Ontario, rural. How big was the community?
It's not a huge community, and it's a place that we would go and visit quite regularly. So when I was young, one of my earliest memories was being in a boat and taking a boat to, I believe it was one of my auntie's houses, and it was really cold. It was close to winter, so we put a tarp over us in the boat because I remember it just being freezing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't grow up right in the community. Where did you
No,
grow up?
I grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
How was that?
It was good. It's really cold.
Yeah.
It's a good community of people. I would say the cold makes people kinder in a lot of capacities.
Mhm.
Hence the name, I guess people would call it Friendly Manitoba. It's cold from probably around October to April usually, and then you get a few good months of warm summers. But it's amazing. There's a huge Indigenous population in and around Winnipeg, and that's kind of where our business focuses on right now. And we have a lot of work going to 50 of the 52 First Nations here in Manitoba.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about that, a little bit about Teqare, and what exactly, like, what are you guys' service offerings, and what is your favorite thing that you guys do?
Oh, I'll start off with the favorite thing that we do, and that's actually working with people one-on-one and or in a group classroom as well, but seeing the responses that people have after the training. And for example, I'll give you a quick testimony from last week. Where was I? I was in Puck, Manitoba. So it was about a 45-minute flight north of the Paw, and we
Oh,
did a training. And after one of the specific trainings, which was the financial excellence and city life skills, I even had a teacher, or I think they were teacher slash EA, tell me, "Oh, I learned things today that I had no idea or even real, or I didn't even know this stuff before the session." And this
mhm.
was like a 30-year-old EA slash teacher that learned something from the session. And they told me this afterwards, and it meant a lot to me that sometimes you forget that when you're born in a city center, a lot of the things that you might take for granted and some things that you might know, it doesn't mean that everybody knows it,
So
right?
true. So true.
So about Teqare, the offerings that we have right now, it's kind of funny because the people that we work with do refer us to other people, and then
Mhm.
they think, oh, maybe they can help us with this, right? Because we're that Indigenous owned and maintained company that does technology. So we'll have people ask us, hey, do you do IT programming? And then I say, no, I don't. We don't do IT programming, but we can find someone that can help you do that. So
Yeah.
right now, what we do is with SchoolNet, one of our biggest contracts, we're doing the financial excellence city life skills for the older kids in high schools, in high school kind of level.
Mhm.
And for the younger kids, we do the cyber safety, cyber bullying, keeping kids safe online. That's amazing, amazing. And then another big aspect of Teqare was or is elder safety training. So
Mm.
basically, we do workshops with elders and teach them about scam prevention, staying safe online as well.
The financial skills workshop that you do, what are the outcomes of that one?
What do you mean, sorry?
The outcomes. So
Oh,
for high school students, what are the outcomes? Like the other two are pretty explanatory in terms of like
yeah.
cyberbullying and how to be safe. The financial skills workshop for the high school students.
Mhm.
Um, what is that? What is the goal for that one?
Oh, amazing. The goal that we have for Teqare, whenever we leave a session, we want to make sure that these high school age adults are leaving just a little bit more inspired, feeling like they can take control of their own finances, and they feel like it's possible to save and have credit cards and make good choices in life and achieve their goals at the end of the day. Whatever your goals might be, for if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, to an entrepreneur, to a tradesperson, to anything in life, it's actually possible for you to make those steps. And in the class, we go into many things. Okay, so we go into what is credit, how to check your
Mm.
credit score, even if you make a mistake, how to rebuild your credit. Right. Another thing is
Mhm.
how to get a bank account. What are the six major banks out there? There's actually value brands that you can go that don't have a monthly fee, because we've been in classes where people raise their hand, they say, hey, I'm paying $30 a month for a fee with RBC. But then we talk about how there's Tangerine, EQ Bank that offer free checking accounts. Why should you have to pay for that, right? For banking. And I always share my personal testimony at the beginning about how I grew up. I would say privileged. I recognize that in the city
Mhm.
where I had two parents that did their very best to teach me all the things that you would uh, expect to teach your children. And what they didn't really teach me was about credit. And when I turned 18, I went right to Best Buy and got a Rogers cell phone plan. And I signed on that dotted line. I didn't even understand the contract that I signed. Not that I really even cared, because no one told me how important it really was. Long story short, my brother, what happened to you?
Yeah, so like credit cards though, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I treated it as free money. I remember, to be honest, going out with some friends and just tapping that credit card,
Yeah.
not knowing that I had
I'm
to
rich.
pay that and have 30% interest,
Yeah.
and then I'm paying crazy interest for the next couple months. And these are things that we're not always taught. So what happened was I didn't pay my phone bill on time for about 4 months with my brother. I got a collections letter in the mail, and that hurt my credit for a few years. And even to the point where I want to go to university and I want to go get a laptop loan, they wouldn't approve me. So I
Mhm.
had to slowly build it up. Now, fortunately, it's all built up and it's fine. But that's the kind of starting block that I teach all my sessions with financial literacy. That my mistake learn from me so you don't make the same. But even if you do, it's all good. You could fix anything almost. So there's a lot of hope in it.
So when was Teqare founded, and what inspired you to start this company?
That's such a great question. So I think there's a lot of little inspirations that kind of come into creating Teqare. Teqare was founded in 2021, kind of during something called the COVID-19 crisis, which was very difficult. I'm sure a lot of us remember. And Teqare was created to help elders one-on-one in their homes. And during that crisis, I saw something that was very sad, actually, that in order to claim certain COVID-19 benefits, you actually had to have access to internet, a computer, a laptop, or phone to access some of these benefits online. And we have a lot of elders in our communities, even in Winnipeg, that don't know how a phone works, don't know how laptops work. I remember we tried to give my grandmother a cell phone, and she wanted nothing to do with it, doesn't even know how these things work, and just doesn't want to learn. And that's okay. But in this time frame, a lot of things are online. So we offered a one-on-one online support where an elder can go online within Winnipeg and book a service, and then we'll have someone go to their home and help them with anything they needed technology related. So we grew a lot of relationships at that time where we had people just calling us saying, hey, can you set up a Samsung soundbar? Because I bought a soundbar from a store and I don't trust their delivery service to set it up. We trust you guys to do it. Can you come? So we're like, well, you know what, we can. We appreciate the business. So we would go and set up a Samsung soundbar for people. So that's just an example how we were going through 2021. And
yeah, I didn't even think about, how much of a learning curve it was for seniors during COVID, thinking about how the seniors that I know and love, how pre-COVID, and we all know that some seniors can be stubborn when it comes to technology and, would rather go stand in line in the bank than do the transaction or learn how to do the transaction on the mobile phone app, to now there not being any option to be able to go to the bank, do not come to the bank, and how they had no choice. So thank you for, being inspired by that and creating Teqare. So a couple of things. You mentioned the facilitations, that you guys do. And then you had also mentioned that you guys get calls to come in and it sounds like set up tech. So is that another service that you guys provide?
Yes. During 2021, that was one of the things we are kind of pushing, because we recognize that, again, you can't go wait in the line at a bank. So people needed help setting up their phone. Super easy things for some millennials who take it for granted. That I always say, if you were born after like 1995, you come pre-installed with how to kind of just be a little savvy. But we take it for granted. So we would set up bank accounts or online banking, or show them how to do that. So show them how to set up their Facebook and two-factor authentication, how to have good password etiquette. Just a lot of tips when we would be in these one-on-one sessions. But one thing I recognized was the people who actually needed our help the most didn't have any money. It was very hard. I remember getting off the call after leaving one of the client sessions, because I ended up giving it to them for free, because I just started feeling really bad, because I have a heart that wants to help and give. But when I feel like someone's in a really hard spot, I wanted to just almost not even charge people. So I wanted to find a way that we can run a successful business and have money coming in, but not have our clients or the people who need it pay for it. So that's why we've kind of transitioned now into group workshop scenarios, or workshops where we can have multiple people in one workshop, have an organization, First Nation or tribal council, pay for it, So then
Yeah.
everyone gets the session that they need. And at the end, we save a lot of time for one-on-one. So we'll hang around for up to 2 hours sometimes and answer every question that everyone has. So they'll come up to us, and then we make sure we spend the time with each person.
Yeah. As a MBA graduate, that is just like beautiful and amazing way that for you guys to scale. You know, even though, yes, you're solving the problem for your Indigenous clients that, you know, because of residential school and the roadblocks, even in terms of mindset there, that Indigenous people struggle with. So you're not only just solving that problem, but you're solving a problem for yourself, which is time.
Yeah, and I wish I could replicate myself times 100. It's very hard to replicate yourself. I'm waiting for the technology to come out, but until then, we got to do group workshops.
So when you say we, how big is your organization?
It's under 5 people right now, but we do have people that we hire for project work here and there. So if we need help flying somewhere and doing an event, we have amazing people that we will hire for that event, essentially.
Yeah, awesome. So can you share a current project that you guys are currently working on that is super meaningful to you? I know you had mentioned a couple, but even projects recently or within 2024. We also didn't get the opportunity to mention that you guys are the 2024 award winner for the Canadian Choice Award for 2024.
Oh,
the education.
yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. I believe it was for the 2025 because
Oh,
it just came out about a week ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
Oh, I think it's great to get recognized for what you do. At the end of the day, running a business, it's very hard, to be honest with you. You wear multiple hats, you're doing multiple things. It's not a simply walk in the park. But where I get most of my gratitude or my acknowledgement from is when I'm actually working one-on-one with people in the communities, and I just feel amazing from that. So get recognized from an outside company means a lot, and honestly, it helps us with social proof, and it helps us when you search up our name online, right? But we're not stopping anytime soon, so I know there's gonna be more awards just coming just as it is, because we're in a unique spot where we're kind of making new strides in new areas that other companies really haven't done yet. And I recognize there's going to be awards that come with that. That's just kind of how it is. But that doesn't drive me every day. It shows me that, hey, we're on the right track. We're doing something awesome and people see it. But it's great. Thank you.
So what are some challenges within the Indigenous communities that you've worked with or that Indigenous communities face? And I know you had mentioned, you know, the seniors and not fully understanding tech. So what other challenges do you find Indigenous communities face when it comes to your specific industry?
Oh, that's such a good question. There's quite a bit, to be honest with you. From infrastructure, some places they haven't gotten access to internet. Luckily, we have new things like Starlink, which helps, but there's a lot of people who still don't have access. I'll give you just a quick testimony. We were doing an elder session, and at the end of the session, we had an elder say they've never had a phone set up before, and they've never had an internet or anything set up for before ever. But since this session lowered their anxiety and made them feel like there's a lot of benefits to being online that can improve their life or help them with certain things, they went to chief and council and asked how they could get internet so they can get a tablet, laptop, and a phone set up, right? So that is one of the issues is, you know, with internet, but also it's like location. there's sometimes in communities like toxic. I don't even know if you might want to cut this out. I'm going to be really real with you, but it's just, um, you might have to cut certain parts of this question. Okay. So I would say, if you do want to get ahead,
Yeah.
sometimes there's certain people in your family or community that might hold you back with
Mm-hmm.
saying mean or rude things that
Mm-hmm.
maybe they might perceive that you're better than them because you might have a goal to want to do computer programming or game or video design,
Yeah. Are you talking about
right?
lateral violence? Sounds
Yeah,
like.
lateral violence, right? I experienced that in my own life too with my auntie. You know, we would hear like, "Oh, you think you're better than us now because you're doing this or this," and
Yeah.
that's not what you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yeah.
You have to handle this situation with a lot of grace and love because everyone has different levels of trauma that they've gone through and they're trying to process it and live their best life, right?
Yeah.
Um, Another thing I would say is, just the not knowing. Like, for example, um, me going to a public school in Winnipeg, you have access to these universities, and these universities will come and do fairs at your school, in your public school, and it's just a lot of the conversation of post-secondary options that you have, and not only just, hammering down your throat saying you have to go to university, but you see the options. You see, hey, I could go to a trade school and get paid to go to trade school and make amazing money after these few years at Red River College, or I could experience my dream doing video game design at this place and I have a placement and a job afterwards. They don't always have that in
Mm-hmm.
certain places
Mm-hmm.
outside of Winnipeg, and we take that for granted, right? For example, in some of my younger classes, I ask the kids what their dream jobs are after the session, and a lot of them say video game design. And, I want them to know that that's possible, that there's even companies in Winnipeg that like Ubisoft, where you could get a job easy, and it's a dream that's actually attainable, where you could go work there, and it's pretty awesome. Um, Let me think of a few other. Can you rephrase the question, because I think we can get some more issues, or come up with some issues that we face, and I can answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like you did a great job in answering in the question already, like especially
Yeah.
I was wondering about, the access to education part. If you find that a lot of nations, the reason why they're hiring you is because they're not able to get the specific education as easily as you are able to provide for them. And then even hearing that there's organizations that you guys partner or refer, such as the one that you mentioned, where it's possible for these Indigenous youth to believe in themselves and believe that, they can be these video programmers or graphic designers, or even before we were talking about cryptocurrency, like all of these things, AI, all of these things that are moving so fast in terms of technology. And, it's very real and possible for them to accomplish this, not just because you're saying it, but because you're in front of them and you're doing it and inspiring them. And then just in terms of, the 5% of Indigenous family or people that are really kind of still stuck in that intergenerational trauma that causes the lateral violence. Knowing that, you are inspiring the 80% that don't know you and that see you. And I think that's super admirable. And I really am just so proud of you and everything that you accomplished and created as an Indigenous person.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
And so, last question: what advice do you have for Indigenous peoples, Indigenous youth who want to get involved in your industry?
That's such a good question. We had a young gentleman in, I think, grade 10. After a session last month, he came to me and he says, "When I graduate high school, I want to come work with you." And that really warmed my heart because I was like, "Hey, that opportunity's like it's there, but you just got to finish high school first. It's super important to get your grade 12, and then we can chat." So I
Yeah.
think what it is following your heart. Okay, it's always about right fit. I think we live in an amazing time that we're really blessed that you can choose where you want to work, and you can kind of find a pathway to kind of live your ideal lifestyle and dream and actually dream. You know, it's not anymore where 200 years ago where you're just going to be stuck doing what your dad did, you know. And maybe some people are in that place, and I'm sorry if that is, but there's options that you can work online, right? You can get an amazing job in technology and online where you don't even have to really be in Winnipeg. You can be in your First Nation, you can be in your home and do a job and get paid very well doing that. So what I would say to inspire people is to um, it's about resources as well, of knowing where to turn. For
Mhm.
example, when I started the company, I didn't know where to turn to get funding and grants and like all these things. And I had to do all the research online and try to find these things. And it's so funny that I'm even still finding out about new organizations today that do amazing things. So I think there's up and coming, there's going to be um, like a website where you can go to and you can see kind of, you can click on what you like or you're passionate about, and then you can kind of see the education of how to get there and do these things.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think
Maybe
I'm
you'll
going off.
create it.
Well, yes, there's actually something coming down the pipeline with Zachary Flett.
Yeah.
He's kind of spearheading this actual, it's called in Digitech. And it's going to be a place where you can go, and it's a forum where it's free, but you can see all these things, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
of like, hey, I'm interested in video games. Where do I go next? Or where do I turn? Right. And I think that's going to be a useful tool for a lot of people. But
Absolutely.
I think it's just, we teach about staying curious, and curiosity will lead you to amazing things because you're just, once you decide in life that I already have learned everything and I already know everything, you stop learning,
Yeah. You're
right?
done.
I'll be the first to say I don't, a lot of the times I don't know. If
Hmm.
people ask me questions, I don't know. And
Yeah.
but I want to learn, and I know that I can go online and learn and find out how to get that answer. But I think that's what it is for a lot of people. Um, I want to make it easier, right? So when we inspire people, we want to make it easier. We want to plant that seed inside of them that sparks that curiosity and that learning, that hey, maybe I'm going to go talk to my education person in my nation and see what it looks like to go to post-secondary. And I'm going to do something that excites me with a goal in mind, rather than just feeling that I have to go and do this specific thing, but I'm going to go where I want to go, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, where can organizations, nations, or anybody that might be wanting to hire you for either a speaking opportunity or facilitation with for one of the services or workshops that you mentioned here, where can they find you?
Yeah, great question. So they can find me at www.teqare.ca. They can email us at hello@teqare.ca. We also have a phone number. You want me to share the phone number on the thing here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I'll share
just
it
so
here.
everybody knows, I'll also be having this information in the show notes.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it's 204-399-2294. That line is always has someone who's going to be answering it. And it's just reach out. We can see if we can help you. For example, we have a TikTok. We had someone, an educator, slide in our DMs on TikTok asking us if we can come to a certain school, right? So this happens. We're wanting to expand and grow, obviously, because the need is so there. For example, I'm busy and I'm so happy. I'm on Monday. I'm going up to Martin Falls Martin Lake. See, I'm going to so many places that I forget exactly. So it's Lake St. Martin on Monday, Tuesday, and then the week after we're flying all the way up north. So it's like always we're booked, but we want more bookings and we want to grow because we love what we do. We love inspiring people, and the kids really need it in these places, and the elders need it as well because they're getting scammed.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I look forward to continuing to work with you and collaborating with you in the future.
Thank you, Natasha.
Hi.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.